It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode is brought to you by HP Instant Ink. No one is reading your mind, but HP Instant Ink knows when your printer is running low and sends new cartridges before you run out. So you never have to think about ink. For details, visit hp.com/instant ink Spotify. Conditions apply.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So I say D, I say D-O, D-O-D, D-O-D-G, D-O-D-G-E-R-S, team.
Tomorrow, the Locked On Podcast Network is partnering with the Draft Network to cover the NFL Draft live. Get insight and analysis from Locked On local experts and the Draft Network's national experts. Subscribe to the Locked On NFL YouTube page to watch live 3-day coverage of the NFL Draft April 29th through May 1st. Hello, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. This is the daily podcast covering the world champion Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. I am Jeff Snyder of Baseball Essential, along with Vince Semperio of Chavez Ravine Fiends. Vince, the Dodgers have their first 3-game losing streak in nearly 2 years.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be able to avoid it, and even though they're not playing well, at least the avoiding the 3 games in a row was something that was fun for however long it went. But now it's over, and it's up to Clayton Kershaw to stop it.
Yeah, we also have another streak that continues, which is streaks of bad umpires. And I have a poem in the style of Dr. Seuss. This is called Green Eggs and Bad Umpires. I do not like them when we win. I do not like them when we lose. I do not like that all the umps call balls and strikes like they're on booze. That's it. It's just a short one, and that one's dedicated to Angel Hernandez. Can you believe that dude had the whatever the politically correct term for balls is to sue Major League Baseball, saying that they were prejudicing against him, when anybody who has ever watched him do anything knows that he absolutely sucks at his job?
When casual fans know your name, that's not a good thing when you're an umpire. And that should have been if I was on the other side of the defense, I would have been like, yeah, most people know your name. So that the defense
And
race.
the funny thing is that's how it got settled. That was the actual ruling by the court was, no, it turns out you're just really bad at your job. Sorry, Angel. Take your lawsuit and shove it. So anyway, the Dodgers lost another one to the Reds. They've now lost back-to-back series for the first time in a couple years too. They have the first 3-game losing streak. We're not going to harp too much specifically on like the game. You guys know we don't do really game recaps here, but we are going to talk about some thoughts we had during the game on a few different players. The big concern right now is the bullpen. That I don't know if either of us has anything really insightful to say other than guys who are there need to step it up, and guys who are hurt need to hurry up and get healthy.
Yeah, basically. And the other part is there's not really much down in the farm to really kind of rely on. We haven't got our Brandon Morrow update in a while. Joe Kelly, I'm still convinced he's going to be on the IL for probably the most of the season, although it seems that they're trying to rush him back a little bit now that they kind of need him. And yeah, other than that, maybe Josiah Gray, maybe some of these younger guys might come up. But yeah, it's a matter of doing your job and pitching better.
Yeah, losing Tony Gonsolin, David Price, and Corey Knebel to injury definitely has this thing depleted, and it kind of sucks. But let's talk about a few things. One of the thoughts I had watching the game tonight, Tuesday night, I was thinking about last year, and in 2020, it was a short season. It was only 60 games, and partly because of that, and partly just for whatever reason, the Dodgers never had a slump. Like we said, they never lost 3 straight games. They only lost 1 series. They just dominated from beginning to end. And in the postseason, for the most part, they put a little scare in us in the NLCS, but for the most part, it was more of the same. And we got really spoiled with constant 2-out clutch hits hitting with runners in scoring position. I mentioned this yesterday. The Dodgers were like historically good last year with runners in scoring position. All those 2-out hits, everything about it. Like last year, especially in October, you just kind of knew. Like you and I, even when the Dodgers went down 3-1 to the Braves, neither of us felt like they were out of it because we knew this team has it. And it's mostly the same players, and this team still could have it, but we don't have that feeling right now. And it's almost like right now watching the games, I watch, Corey Seager pop up, and it's like, how does anybody ever get a hit in Major League Baseball? But then when they're hot, it's like, how does anybody ever get Corey Seager out? And so I know they're going to get hot again, but I miss being spoiled by them just being awesome all the time,
We're going to talk about two of these guys, Max Muncy, Mookie Betts, who, are part of it. But it's just a mishmash of guys that, one day Justin Turner will get on base 3 times, but no one does anything behind him. The next day, Corey Seager will maybe have a decent game, and nobody else around him really does anything. Matt Beatty had a pretty decent game, and the bottom of the order was the rest of the bottom of the order was really bad. So it's just a frustrating time just because, not only do we have the expectations that they're going to do it, so you're already built up. You're like, oh, they'll come back. And the one stat I saw, or the one stat that Joe Davis brought up on the broadcast, is they haven't scored in the 7th inning or later in like their last 8 games. So, last year they led the league in scoring in 7th inning or later. It was basically last year we were waiting for the 7th inning to come and happen and for them to score. And this year it's a little bit opposite, at least in this last 10-game stretch or so. So it's frustrating. It's annoying. Like I said, it's probably going to turn around, but just when you're in it, it's probably one of the worst time.
Yeah, and I kind of thought going into this game on Tuesday that this was a good game for the Dodgers to get some of that late scoring because the Reds kind of threw all their best relievers at the Dodgers in game 1 of the series. And so I thought, okay, maybe getting the softer underbelly of the bullpen, and they kind of did, but they just couldn't do it. But I know all these guys are too good at hitters to be kept down for too long. I know they're going to break out of it. I know that Edwin Rios is going to hit the ball again sometime in his life, even over the fence, or maybe even, a single or a double, just something. I know these things are going to happen, but it's not as much fun to watch when it's not happening.
And especially after the start that they had, and then the Padres, and then this, and it's just like, when you look back, they're 15-9, which is still pretty good, and they're still, tied for first, and it's not even the first month of the season is over yet. But like I said, when you're in it, it's hard to get out of it, and it's kind of like a quicksand motion for the guys on the field and kind of for the fans. We're sucked in watching these 3.5-4 hour games, and they're losing, and it's just like, well, that sucked.
Couple final bits of positive news before we get to maybe some of the negatives. Will Smith hit a home run, finally kind of came through. He's had a lot of bad luck, and he's hit the ball hard and had some bad luck. He's had a few less than perfect at bats, but he came up, hit a 3-run home run when they really needed it. That was good to see. Matt Beatty continues to look good since coming back from the alternate site. He's been on base 6 out of 9 times or something. And so it's there are some positives, but they need Gavin Lux struggled again tonight. And then obviously we're going to talk a little bit about Mookie and Muncy, like you said, and Muncy's aren't even struggles, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But it's not all negative, but when the end result is a loss, it's hard to think about much else.
Exactly.
All right, so we'll come back in a minute. We're going to talk about Max Muncy getting on base, but not via the hit, and whether that might be causing some problems. So keep it locked on Dodgers. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar ever. You know that. We've told you that. They have a ton of different flavors. All of them have chocolate. And so if you like chocolate, if you like candy bars, but you don't like feeling guilty, Built Bar is the answer because they taste like candy bars, but they're healthy. They're low calorie, low carb, low sugar, high fiber, high protein, all those things. Everything you could want in a candy bar, but you never had because candy bars aren't made that way. Well, now they are. They're keto friendly. They're, if you're trying to lose weight, they're great. If you're trying to build muscle, they're great. If you're trying to, whatever you're trying to do, Built Bar is the way to do it. I think they still have the coconut brownie chunk, and I've told you this, you got to get it. I don't like coconut, and I love this thing. It's got just the hint of coconut flavor, like a crumb donut, which I love. That's kind of the only coconut I've liked in my life is a crumb donut. That's kind of got that flavor to go with the chocolate and the brownie. Oh, it's good. And they got a lot of other flavors. So just go to builtbar.com, look at the flavors, order wherever you want, and just use promo code LOCKED15 and you'll get 15% off. And that's good for every order. Every time you order, punch in LOCKED15, they'll give you 15% off. It's not just your first order. It's nothing like that. Every time you order, LOCKED15, 15% off at builtbar.com.
What's up, everybody? David Harrison here of the Locked On Washington Football Team podcast. I actually just retired from the Army, and while that was a very exciting moment in my life, it also meant uprooting my family one last time. And not only that, but we moved in the midst of COVID, so finding the place that we really wanted to live wasn't as easy as it usually would have been. So we actually have moved a second time, and of course, every time we've had to wonder, is all of our stuff going to fit with our new house? Did you know that people who live in cities move 6 to 8 times before they even hit their early 30s? That's why you've got to check out Feather. Feather is a furniture rental company designed for people who want to feel at home no matter how often they move. Furnishing one bedroom can cost upwards of $6,000, but with Feather, you can furnish a bedroom with high-quality, beautifully designed furniture for the cost of your monthly utility bill. Their delivery team brings furniture directly to your home in as little as 7 days. They handle all the heavy lifting so you can go from an empty apartment to a fully furnished home without lifting a finger or assembling anything. And it's not just furniture. They have rugs, lamps, wall art, and more. What if you move to a new place with a different layout? No problem. You can easily get furniture that works for any space. Plus, by renting from Feather, you're choosing a sustainable alternative to fast furniture that won't end up in landfills. I remember vividly having to take time off of work or away from family events or social events that I wanted to attend just to wait for several furniture deliveries coming at different times throughout the week, but you don't have to go through that anymore. Try a new way to furnish your home right now. Feather has an exclusive offer just for Locked On listeners. If you go to livefeather.com right now and use the promo code Locked On, you'll receive $300 off your first month. Again, that's livefeather.com and use our promo code Locked On for $300 off your first month.
All right, we are back. Let's talk a little bit about Max Muncy, Vince. I had this thought while I was watching the game, and then when you and I were talking before we started recording, turns out you had basically the same kind of thought, and so let's talk about it a little bit. Muncy has been getting on base. He's 0 for his last 6, but his on base percentage in that time is like 680 or something, because he's been walking a ton. He had one hit by pitch. He's getting on base, but we saw in the 9th inning tonight when he was up and he got a pitch that it was in his wheelhouse. It was a Max Muncy home run pitch, and he took it. And he actually hit himself in the head, punched himself as if to say, "Come on, Max, swing the stupid bat." And that's kind of what I was thinking too. And I was just wondering, obviously getting on base is good. And I'm not, you know me, I like advanced stats. I like even just the working the count. I like when Max Muncy walks. I find it aesthetically pleasing. And I think overall, we saw today before Will Smith's home run, that was preceded by walks by Justin Turner and Max Muncy. So those guys come around to score sometimes. But I wonder I wouldn't want to trade in all of Max's walks, but I wonder if we would trade a few of them just because he's just not swinging the bat very much. And so I feel like he's maybe not just in practice enough to actually do damage when he does get a pitch to hit. And I wonder if we would trade, 3 of those 10 walks for a double and 2 ground outs, maybe, just to kind of, have him swinging the bat, know what it feels like to put the bat on the ball, so that when he does come up in a situation where we need him to do that other thing Max Muncy does, which is hit the ball hard, that he's more ready to do that. I don't know. And I'm not even saying I would prefer that. I'm saying I don't know the answer, but I wonder,
Yeah, it's an interesting case. I talked about it with Randy over at Dodgers Yard a little bit on Twitter, and looked at his numbers. He's seen the fewest amount of fastballs in his career so far. Obviously, small sample size. He has the lowest chase rate, but also his lowest swing rate. And I believe Chad Moriyama said something about he's in like the bottom 4th of actual strikes being thrown to him. So, it's all a perfect storm for what's happening with him. But I completely agree with the fact that, that 9th inning, the Dodgers are struggling. The offense in general is struggling. Max, you work it out to a 3-0 count. Okay, I get taking 3-1. But 3-1, I'm looking to hit the ball. I'm looking to swing the bat, and he got a pretty decent fastball low in the zone, which is exactly what Max Muncy likes to hit, and he let it go. And then the next one was a fastball low in the zone again, and he was a little bit behind on it. And I think it does lead up to, he's not swinging as much, and he's not. It seems like he is looking for walks right now, and not necessarily a bad thing, but he's in the middle of the order. The Dodgers are struggling. That there are a lot of guys injured right now, and he is part of the muscle, part of the thump, and he's not really doing it. And it's a matter of a little bit catch-22, or if he starts swinging more, he might start striking out more. But at the end of the day, the Dodgers need to put up some runs, and having him walk and then the guys behind him getting out is not really helping. It's kind of him and Turner are kind of the only ones getting on base. Turner via hits and Muncy via walks, but nobody else around them is really hitting. So again in San Diego, there was a couple of times where Yu Darvish walked him or someone else walked Max Muncy on purpose. Not intentionally, but on purpose in order to get to AJ Pollock or to get to Edwin Rios out one of the games. And that's a difference of the guys behind him not hitting. And I don't think it's time to kind of move the lineup or shuffle it, but I would like to see Max Muncy maybe ahead of Justin Turner one time, just to see if he gets more fastballs and more able to swing and able to put some contact and put the ball over the wall or something like that.
Yeah, and the Dodgers have always been big on pass the baton. Let the if you don't get a pitch to drive, let the next guy do it. And with Muncy, I do think he is sometimes getting pitches to drive, but like you said, whether he's going up there trying to work the count, trying to look for a walk or whatever, and so he will take some of those pitches that are in the strike zone, knowing I'm probably going to get 4 balls thrown to me before I get 3 strikes thrown to me, so I'll take my base and pass the baton. But sometimes you need to realize that you're running that last leg and there's nobody else to pass the baton to. It's been passed to you, and we're expecting you to now finish off the race. I'm not much of a sprinter, so I don't know how well that analogy worked, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and the thing with that we've seen in the last week or so with the Dodgers is a lot of solo home runs, and solo home runs by themselves aren't that bad, but solo home runs a few times a game is not necessarily a bad thing. And for Max Muncy to trade in maybe 1 solo home run for every 3 walks or something like that, I'd completely take right now, especially with guys down. Once Bellinger's back, once McKinstry's back, once everyone's kind of out of this little funk or slump or whatever it is and the offense is rolling, Max Muncy, take your walks. And we saw it in the postseason last year. He took a lot of walks and, ended up scoring some big runs when guys behind him were able to come through. Will Smith being one of the key ones. But right now, the Dodgers need him to swing the bat and put the ball in play and get some doubles and home runs and, help out.
Yeah, and I guess that's the big question that I still don't know the answer to is, should Max Muncy change his approach right now because the guys behind him aren't hitting, or should he, keep doing what he's doing, knowing that eventually the guys behind him will hit? I don't know what's better for the Dodgers long term. And, we talk all the time about how the Dodgers are in this for the whole 162 plus however many postseason games. And so there's, they know it's a long haul, and so maybe it is the right approach for Muncy to keep doing what he's doing, even though right now it's the team isn't benefiting as much from it as they would if other guys were hitting. It's like, I don't know. And I guess I'd be interested to hear what the listeners think if they have any thoughts, because I would guess that we could probably get a pretty wide range of opinions on this from our listeners, because I don't think there is necessarily a right answer to it.
Different ways to go about it, and like I said, he's going away about it the way he is. I don't think he's been asked or Dave Roberts has been asked, and I'm not sure that's something that needs to be asked right now, but it is definitely something that people are noticing.
All right, we're going to come back in a minute, and we're going to talk about Mookie Betts and some of his struggles, so stay locked on Dodgers one more time. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports action. Baseball season is full swing, and you can track all the action at BetOnline. This week has a ton of sports action on the go as the NFL Draft is on and the Kentucky Derby is back as the first leg of the Triple Crown this weekend. Get all the latest news, odds, and info for all your sporting needs, including MLB, NBA, NHL, and all your UFC MMA action. Before the next pitch, head over to BetOnline on your laptop or mobile device and check out all the great sporting news, sign-up bonuses, and contest information. Don't sit on the sidelines anymore. This is your chance to get into the game as teams prep for their runs to the playoffs. Head to the website betonline.ag or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit with promo code LOCKEDON. That's promo code LOCKEDON for a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts.
This episode is brought to you by Wine.com. The days of standing in the wine aisle, staring aimlessly at a wall of wine without a clue, are over. Go to Wine.com and pick the perfect bottle with confidence every time. Filter your search by price and professional ratings, read reviews, and even chat with real wine experts for recommendations. It's the world's largest wine store delivered to your door. And if you sign up for a stewardship membership, you'll get free shipping year-round on every order. Get $50 off your first order by going to wine.com/Spotify. Terms apply.
All right, we're back for one last segment. And, the other thing that you and I both separately were thinking about during the game and then discovered when we were talking before we started recording was Mookie Betts. Now, obviously, Mookie is struggling offensively. We've seen a lot of pop-ups. We've seen some strikeouts. He's still hitting the ball some. He's had some hits, but it's not quite the same. And that's kind of obvious. But the thing that's kind of stood out to me, two things really. I noticed looking at the StatCast sprint speed leaderboard, Mookie's sprint speed this year is way down, kind of middle of the pack among the Dodgers. And we see it, he hit a ground ball to shortstop that I thought, he might make that close, and he didn't. And then we saw it in the outfield where it seems like he is kind of taking his time on getting to some balls down the line. And my first thought is there something wrong physically with Mookie? Because when you factor all those things together, struggling at the plate, not running as fast, and appearing to not hustle as hard as he usually does, like if you put all those together, doesn't it seem like if we did find out he was hurt, we'd say, that makes sense now?
It would make a lot of sense. I've noticed the same things. There's a couple balls hit in last night's game where he wasn't sprinting toward them and there was runners on base. The runners were probably both going to score on one when there was a double with first and second. But he was like casually jogging, not casually, but not running full speed. The one that he ended up reaching base on a air the other night, he wasn't running hard out of the box like he usually does. A lot of pop-ups, a lot of grounders, not much power at all. And yeah, he had the stiff lower back a few weeks ago. He had the hit by pitch, which wouldn't really affect his legs. And yeah, he looks a little off, and I'm not sure. Obviously, he doesn't want to not play because the Dodgers are already down an MVP outfielder. They don't want to be down two MVP outfielders. So maybe he's trying to push through some things or work through some things or whatever else it is. But if it was just a slump, it wouldn't be that big an issue right now just because everyone's kind of slumping and that's just the way the game goes sometimes. But yeah, I've definitely noticed, the other day when he got on first base late in the game and could have for sure – in the ninth inning of the night, when he got on base, he could have, gone for a steal. And Oral mentioned if he gets out, he's at least your lead runner on second base. And when you go to extra innings, really no attempt at a steal. And we've seen him change games with, the steals and stuff like that. And he's been on second base a couple times where maybe third base was a little open and kind of the pitcher giving it to him a little bit and no real running. So I think that all those combination of factors is something to be mildly concerned about. It's Mookie Betts. He's going to play through it. He doesn't want to come out, but he's not actively hurting the team yet. He's still better than most guys with being, if he is a little bit injured. But it sucks to see right now.
And especially if you consider the actual alternatives to him right now in the outfield. We've seen the Dodgers with McKinstry hurt, with Bellinger hurt. The Dodgers are pretty low on major league outfielders right now. And so it seems entirely possible to me that Mookie knows he's hurt. And, for me, I guess what it boils down to is Mookie has earned the benefit of the doubt. Mookie, we know he hustles. We know he plays hard. We know he's good. And so, it's almost like I'm willing to just think, okay, he must be hurt, but he's playing because he knows the alternative is Luke Raley, or whatever it is. And but I wonder, I guess going back to our last segment, what if they move Muncy to the leadoff spot for a little while? If with him getting on base so much, at leadoff, either he's going to get more pitches to hit because the pitcher doesn't want to walk the first batter of the game, or he's going to be on base with Corey Seager and Justin Turner hitting behind him, and, which I guess is another reason why he gets more pitches to hit, maybe with Seager and Turner hitting behind him. I wonder if maybe putting Mookie at, fifth or sixth right now, just kind of middle of the lineup where he's not expected to set the table necessarily, and maybe even get Mookie some more at bats with runners on base, which he hasn't had many RBI opportunities this year. Maybe just mixing that up might be a interesting idea with the dynamics that are happening right now. Like, other than the fact that, capital letters Mookie Betts is our leadoff hitter, I don't see much reason to not put Muncy at leadoff for a little while.
I mean, it's going to be, for Roberts, it'll be like, don't want to shake things up too much. It might be just a slump, but it's a long season. It's not a 60-game season like last year. Mookie didn't start off as leadoff last year. Then once he moved to leadoff, everything kind of clicked. Those things aren't clicking right now. And, even if it's just for one game, just to test it out, just to slump buster, whatever you want to call it, I wouldn't mind seeing, Muncy at the top, maybe Turner number 2, and then, letting the other guys fill in after that and see what happens, because whatever they're doing right now is not working. And like I said, it's a long season, so trying it out for one game is not going to hurt. And if it works, and if that's the thing they need, the little spark they need in order to get the offense rolling, why not try it out?
Yeah, it would definitely depend on Dave Roberts and Mookie Betts communicating clearly, but I mean, Roberts is nothing if not a player's manager, and Mookie is nothing if not a team player. And so it seems like between the two of them, they could pretty happily agree, you know what, Mook, why don't you take 2 or 3 games lower in the lineup just to, even, there's a lot of ways you can phrase it. Hey, Muncy's getting on base all the time. Let's see if we can get him better pitches to hit with Seager and Turner batting behind him, and, whatever it takes to get that across. It seems to me like that would be an idea. Like you said, a slump buster, just see, it couldn't hurt right now. The way they're playing, having Muncy at leadoff could not do much worse. Yeah,
because in the past we've seen kind of Dave use slump buster type lineups where he just throws all the backups in, but the backups are the guys playing right now. Luke Raley and Edwin Rios and DJ Peters, who's up for maybe a day more with guys feeling the vaccine that went on the IL. I don't think putting those 3 in the lineup is going to, they might, because it's a day game after a night game. The Dodgers have had some pretty long games the last couple of nights, but I don't think that's the way they want to try to bust a slump with guys that can't hit major league pitching right now.
Yeah, I think so. All right, I think that's about all we have for tonight, right?
Yeah, a little bit shorter than usual, but I think we got a lot to say, and we got it all out, so we're good.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dodgers play a day game today, 1 p.m. California time, and then we're going to do our weekly locker room today. Do we want to go right after the game, Vince?
Yeah, let's play by ear, but plan for right after the game unless it goes really haywire.
Yeah, so let's shoot for, shortly after the game. Keep an eye on, go ahead and download the Locker Room app right now. You can follow me there. I'm Snydog, and we usually do these from my account, and so it'll notify you when we go live. We'll also tweet out the link, and just remember we're going to be there right after the game. So check that out. We do that every week, and that's always a lot of fun. We've had some good turnouts, and it's always fun to actually have back and forth with you guys rather than us just talking, knowing that you will eventually be listening. So thank you all for listening. We appreciate all your listens. Locked On Brewers passed us last week, and so let's get Locked On Dodgers back up at the top of the Locked On Baseball ratings. If you haven't yet, go ahead and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. If you have Apple Podcasts, even if you don't use it, follow us there. That helps other people find us. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Locked On Dodgers. Vince is on Twitter at Vince Samperio. I'm on Twitter at Snydog, and the DMs are open in all of those places. Our email address is lockedondodgers@gmail.com, and our phone number for voicemail or text is 323-863-LOCK-5625. We are here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car or sit on your couch, tell your smart device to play podcast Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree, you just have to listen. We'll talk to you later today.
Have a good one.
Get all the sports news you need in under 20 minutes with the Locked On Today podcast. Host Peter Bukowski updates you on the latest news in every major sport with the help of our local experts. Follow the Locked On Today podcast on the Odyssey app or wherever you get podcasts.
Say D. I say D-O. D-O-D-G-E-R-S. The team that's all heart and all thumbs. They're my Los Angeles, your Los Angeles, our Los Angeles. Do you think we'll really win the pennant? But